What's going on, guys? It's Music Player 1979 coming from West Texas today, August 23rd, 2015. I want to bring you this video that was shot yesterday on the 22nd, and this video is times 12. I wanted to make this fast and kind of keep the camera as still as possible. That way you could see what was actually taking place. Now, as we look into the brightness of the oxide, just above that you can make out the halo of a white solid object. Now, this is because of the dominance that is playing in this particular area. Now, I've done this first black and white because I want to show you first the shadowing that is creating throughout this system, through every turn, through everything that the system does, how it impacts itself as in a whole. Okay, you can see the lining effect is very prominent, guys. Now, as we zoom up and we concentrate on the brightness, okay, these are the common trails that I speak about so very often. This is because of the fresh interaction of oxide that is being created. Now, as we shift towards the left just a tad bit, you can see a very dark shadow. And unfortunately, guys, this is a large object. Now, I do believe still that this is one of the 3 large moons. Okay, these are the prominent storytellers within the system, besides our winged companion. Now, as we shift through, okay, from the black and white shadow aspect to the colorated form, as I viewed this in the sky up at a 45 towards the south-southeast direction, the sky became a very white color. Now, this color, guys, has been impacting us for the last good month. Okay, this plays so dominantly on what is taking place here. As we look at the veins, alright, that the system creates so uniquely, we can see that on the bottom right. Again, we have a draw out from an object that is going almost seemingly sideways. Now, this is going around a larger object that I showed you that creates the horseman. Okay, I showed you this in the previous video. Now, this we are looking at is the same thing. Okay, this time though, you can make out the objects. Now, what is taking place here again is a large object that is coming from the east going south, and it impacts this brightly lit area. Now, as we watch this, I said again, there is a large object that is dark, very massive, and it's coming from the north going south. Okay, and it's in the east direction in this video. Okay, now the object is one of the 3 large moons. Very large, guys. I show several times the growth throughout the last couple years of these massive objects, and now they're massive. And unfortunately, guys, when they appear, it takes up that whole side of the sky. This is not a joke. Everything that plays through here, guys, in the middle of the screen, just on the top left of that white oxided object that is creating disturbance with the large one coming into play, you can see objects that come down almost as a teardrop would. Now, these objects are being thrown away from that smaller object during its impact with the bigger dark object. Now, this video again is done relatively 12-13 times faster than the normal speed. Okay, so this truly shows you each dynamic angle of the objects, and as they travel, the uniqueness that they create. This creates the forms of so many things. Okay, that is very, very biblical. This plays on the things that are happening around the world. Okay, it's phenomenal. Now, the mood. Okay, this system brings the oxide. Okay, and it brings the iron with it. Now, this weighs so heavily on our bodies, guys. Now it is incredible. You can see the uniqueness as the objects form and position themselves past other one. Now you can see as the system takes effect with these massive objects that are intertwining with each other, it creates that wave. Okay, and this is very important because this is one of the first things that we are going to be able to see, okay, in our skies. And this is by far past the coloration. This is past all of the color spectrums, all the way. Now this wave of light, there are several parts as an object is very dominant, okay, as it seemingly is the closest to us. Okay, it's very large and dominant, and as it fades off through its movement throughout that 20-minute, 30-minute, an hour cycle, it begins to become smaller. Okay, and this is again because that object is moving away from us. Okay, as we see it. It's just like when the moon comes off of the horizon at night, it's big. As it leaves the horizon and it starts to make its way across our sky, it becomes smaller and smaller and smaller. This is the same idea that we have to put into play when we are thinking about this system and its beautiful movements that it makes. Okay, this is very vitally important. The waves that are created from the objects are solely from the smaller ones that are being influenced from that object that they just left and the objects that are impacting that object. It's very significant. In this next video, I show a slow motion view about a month ago that again was taken about 10 o'clock in the morning facing the east, and again with the system playing its beauty all throughout it. The shading possibilities is so dramatic. It's very, very dramatic on every turn that it makes. It creates that subtle darkness with that beautiful radiant lighting that casts itself through every part, all through the sides, and on the bottom and the top. It's immaculate. And I wanted to show this clip just for a brief moment because it shows the turning effect from a deep trail that have thousands of objects within that. And as the middle object, the very bright one, is moving, you can see the arms that come from the sides of it. How it dances across how we see it. Okay, it creates that fluency in movement. Very, very beautiful. Very beautiful. I want to show you this video again, and I've flipped the video upside down. I think it's important that we see this video as this way. On the very bottom, all the way across, you can see very ominous, dark objects within the cloud, the brightness. Okay, and again, I've always said, the brightly lit oxide is only because of that dramatic influence the objects are playing with one another. This is important. As we shift, we can see that it comes out of the background and it takes a turn. Alright, now I've showed this several times before. When an object makes a turn, not everything is going to make it, as you can see on the bottom right. You can see a solid object with, again, the oxide that it creates mixed with the dark. Okay, now this, again, is because of the objects that have strayed from that turn. You can see them spilling off. It's amazing. Now again, I'm showing you this. It was taken about a month and a half ago on the south. And at first, I showed it right side up. When I turned it upside down, my heart sunk because it really shows the true nature of its travel and how in depth the objects are moving. As each one of them moves, it creates that subtle whiteness and oxide. Now, as that object made its turn, very beautiful and dominant, It of course stands right here in the middle of the screen where the very bright oxide is, because this is the most interaction. Now you can see as we curve almost a snake pattern back towards the back of the video, this is created because of the smaller ones that are quicker than the large main one that created the turn again. And we have the left and right swaying back and forth motions from the smaller objects that create its beauty. Okay, create that subtleness in everything. But once we back out again, we can see the influence of everything, especially up front. Okay, we can see the thousands of objects that are just shuffling their way to us. Okay, now on the left part of the screen, you can see how it just shadows itself into a beautiful sharp turn that solely leaves itself within the darkness. Now again, each object creates that funnel of debris. Okay, if you were by yourself, you were creating that funnel of debris. It is the debris that each and every object leave. It's much smaller than the object itself. It only comes off the very end of the object, very beautifully and smoothly. Okay, and again, this takes us back to the chemtrail idea. It's so phenomenal that the chemtrail plays such a big part of this system. And playing that ability of, it's okay, we've seen it for the last 20 years. Nothing to be concerned about. That large, massive object that is going across the sky very slowly is leaving that residue of a debris trail. Okay, and this is what creates the life. Okay, it's very powerful, guys. It's very powerful. I want to show you this video. 2 years ago, I showed a video on the east side. This is really when we started focusing on the system itself in general. Okay, as far as the objects and its movements. Now, when I showed you this video 2 years ago, I showed you how dominant 3 areas on the very top were, and how they threw each other over the top of a primary object. Okay, it's very beautiful. Now here again, you can see the dynamicy, the very elegant lining effect as the objects again throw themselves over the main influence of the system. Now again, as we go from the right towards the left on the west side during sunset, you can see the wave pattern that is created. And again, this is all part of the system. Every object creates a wave. Okay, and this wave of influence never stops, ever. And we have to remember, this is space. These objects have been forming and building for billions of years. Okay, and each wave that is created only dramatically increases throughout its movement. It's very beautiful, and you can see the structure and lining as that wave is created. Now as we pan again from the right to the left, just above the sun, you can see the beautiful creation of shadowing. Now it's very important to note here that when you were looking at it, the plane that I showed you just previously was at a good size. Now we can see it pushed back into the background just in front of these large, massive, shadowed objects. This is very significant. Okay, as we zoom up into it, you can see the lining of debris that characterizes itself throughout the whole thing, and how the white gold oxide that is dominantly being played with the sun bends around those large dark objects. Okay, this is very important, guys. Very important. Because now those objects that I just showed you are massive. They're large. Okay? No matter what anybody tells you, prepare. Please prepare. I'm spending as much quality time as I can with my family. I think it's important that we love one another. as this time nears. It's so phenomenal that we can now walk outside with that white skirted sky and see the elegance and the shadowing of colors throughout the system as it encloses itself upon us. I want to thank you again for coming to the channel. I hope that you keep returning. I hope that you subscribe. Please, guys, love one another. Take care of one another during this time. Until next time, it's been Music Player 1979, coming from West Texas. Much love.